damn. As soon as it came on live, all of a sudden, I can see y'all comments like right away. That's weird. It only says 4 people are in the chat, but I know that ain't true. Alright, give me 1 second. And I'll tell y'all this story. Give me 1 second. We about to get out of here. I'm on my way back up my way to move some stuff in. Car is full. That figures. Okay, so I want to tell y'all this story about my worst breakup because actually there's kind of some lessons to be learned here. And I know y'all love hearing lessons from me. There's lessons for the men and lessons for the women in this story. Alright, so 1 second here. There you go. And let me silence the phone. Because I'm tired of getting messages at this point. Alright. So hold on 1 second. Alright, so years ago I had this one relationship that was pretty good for the most part. And there was this point where we had encountered some difficulties, and encountering this situation, she ended up leaving me for somebody else. Now, at first I thought I was kind of okay with it, but well, actually what happened was she ended up leaving me, and I thought that she had just left me, but it wasn't exactly like that. I found out that she had literally immediately started seeing somebody else, and I was like devastated. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean? And it all came down to the fact that I wasn't showing her a particular part of my personality that I thought I had been, but I hadn't. I had built a wall. A lot of men tend to be very guarded. We're guarded because men are brought up to be tough. We're brought up to be tough, protectors, callous and cold. We can't be hurt. But the truth is, men are pretty much as sensitive as women, okay? Maybe not totally as sensitive, because women cry at the drop of a hat for anything sometimes. But, you know, yeah, and I gotta tell you, when the girl, when she dropped me like that, you want to talk about chasing? Man, look, she got flowers the next day. I was calling her friends. I called her mama. I was right. You know, when you calling a girl's mom, you getting desperate. Okay. I was writing poetry. I wrote like 3 poems. I wrote like 3 poems. I made 2 music videos. I know some of y'all are cracking the fuck up right now. Like, it's funny now, but it was not funny then. And see, back in the older days, before we had computers and shit, you couldn't really, well, you could, but you had to be a type of technician to be able to do that. You couldn't make no music video for a girl. You know what I'm saying? What I mean, like, I had our pictures to music and shit, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get her back. Back in the old days, a dude to drop a mixtape by your house or give you a call and be like, remember this song? You always make me think about you, girl. So I was doing some real, like, because I was fucked up. Now, what I want to let the ladies know that are listening to this is that a lot of times, women, you get to a point where you're done. A lot of women have this saying, when I'm done, I'm done. They like to say that. They almost say it with pride, too, a lot of them. You know, like, I've given you enough chances. When I'm done, I'm done. And usually it's to guys that are cheaters, that are always cheating on women and shit like that. And, you know, I was never that type of guy. So with me, it was just one thing. And the one thing was this. It was, and trust me, I'm going to tell you the moral to this in a second for both men and women. The moral with me was, like I said, I thought that I was being as loving as possible as I could be. I thought that I was showing all the love that I could to this chick, but I wasn't. And I didn't know until she was gone. The switch didn't go off in my head. And at this point in my life, I was, you know, I was a pretty deep thinker. You know, I wasn't where I am now, but, you know, because you're always evolving, you know, and, you know, as a person. And, so, you know, I do Magnus answers, and I'm able to see a lot of other people's faults and help them. And, you know, but sometimes, you know, sometimes you can't see your own, depending on different points in your life and where you're at. You really have to reflect a lot of times. And that's no matter who you are. No matter who you are, you know, just relationship experts out there and business experts and all these other things. And sometimes they can help somebody else become really successful in what they do, but then they can't see it themselves. So I didn't know. I was like, holy shit. I didn't realize that this part of me was guarded. I didn't know it was guarded. So once I released it, I was actually able to get her back. But the funny thing was, I didn't get her back because of me showing this love. I got her back because she was afraid this other chick was going to get with me, which is funny. So it's kind of like, oh, well, I can leave him and fuck with somebody else. But as soon as I find out that he's fucking with somebody else, no, he's mine, I got to have him. So it was ultimately jealousy, and her fear of ultimately losing me is what brought her back. But things were different after that, and I was able to actually show a certain amount of love that I wasn't able to show because I had been hurt in the past. So I was guarded, you know, because one thing guys don't want to do is get hurt by a chick, and because, like I said, because we're supposed to be tough, and a guy does not want to be fucked up by a chick. You know, a man does not want that to happen to himself because it hurts. It makes him feel like a bitch, a pussy, soft. You know what I mean? So we protect ourselves by usually being tougher and colder and more callous than we normally would be, than what our heart tells us to be or what our mind tells us to be. So the moral of the story to the ladies is, I know a lot of times, a lot of you are, when you say you're done, but sometimes when you're done, he's ready. That's the moral of the story for the ladies. Sometimes when you're done, he's ready. Sometimes guys have a little bit of, they're not sure, they're not ready, they're in their mind, they're lost in their mind. But when you behave and give in a certain way that basically gives him an ultimatum, you can get the man out of him that you always knew he was, or the man that he only showed you that he was once in a while, like on Valentine's Day, or sometimes when you were alone in your most intimate moments. Sometimes he would say things or talk to you in specific ways that showed you how he truly cared. You know, even a lot of people who see men with a woman and they think like, what the fuck, this dude's an absolute asshole. Sometimes he is a total and complete different way with her when they're alone. But he may actually be a dick to her or do certain things sometimes when he's in public because, you know, of just this whole facade that he's got, that he's doing. I'm not saying that was me. That wasn't me. But I'm just talking about how men are sometimes. Now, the moral of the story for men is, you know, you need to be more upfront with your feelings with women. You know, I don't care whether you're texting her, whether you write it down, whatever you say and how you say it. Sometimes you just need to be more upfront with a woman with how you feel. Because I thought I was giving her everything I needed, that she needed, but, you know, I wasn't. You know, and once I was, she was actually extremely happy. But I ended up finding out a little bit of a tidbit about our separation that totally threw off the whole dynamic. So I got the fuck out of Dodge. You know what I mean? She left me, we got back together, and I left her. I was like, fuck this shit. You had told me this, you would have never got no fucking music videos. You would have never got no fucking poems. I wouldn't have called your mama. I wouldn't have called your friends. I would have fucked the chick who I went out on the date with. You're like, dude, woo, it'd have been a whole different story if I'd known this one little tidbit about our separation. You get what I'm saying? But it's okay, because a breakup, hold on a second. Damn coffee maker, get out the way. Sorry, I'm trying to shift and my stuff is getting in my way while I'm driving. That's okay. It's okay if you have a bad breakup or you break up with somebody, as long as you learn something. As long as you learn something. And I will say that I haven't learned too much from many relationships that I've been with. I'll be like, nah, I learned this bitch was a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, this one chick I can think of, I'm like, what the fuck did I learn from you? There's this one chick, I'm like, what the fuck did I learn from you? Even now, almost 40 years old, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck did she teach me? I know, don't mess with ratchet chicks. That's what it is. Don't mess with ratchets. She taught me that. Let me see. Let me think of this other girlfriend. What did I learn from? Mess with girls that got a backbone. Okay, I know I learned that from her. That bitch did not have a backbone whatsoever. Next one. Don't mess with chicks that don't know what the fuck they want. Keep them at an arm's length. Okay? Because this one chick, she was infatuated with me. I worked with her. She was infatuated with me, and she used to flirt with me all the time. And she used to flirt with me all the time, and you know, she was actually the first white chick I ever dated. And she used to always drop these hints. And yeah, I was oblivious. And there was one time where she was like, you know, well, we can hang out sometime, and, you know, if you don't mind dating a white girl, you know. And I was like, huh? You know, and I wasn't that type of guy. So I was like, yeah, we can hang out. So she ended up becoming a girlfriend. I didn't expect her to become a girlfriend, but she did. So, you know. But she told me one time in a discussion, she said, hold on a second, man. She said, my mom says that I'm fickle. She's like, you know what that means? And I was like, you're not sure? She's like, yeah, kind of like, I don't always know what I want. You know, I'm sometimey. And she had said that while she was talking about dating a couple of guys. And right there in my head, my gut told me, you know, always listen to your gut. But my gut told me, like, yo, like, she's almost telling me, like, she might, you know, get her fill of me and then get tired of me at some point or something. And that kind of did happen with this one chick. And I was like, ah. So anyway, let's see, but anyway, one thing I learned from this particular chick, I learned the most from any relationship I ever been in. And I learned to be really upfront with my emotions, you know, and that's not just like telling a girl specific things about how I feel, but no, like, you know, truly showing her how I feel, you know. You can't always get that out of me, you know. Women, you know, let it be known you can't always get that out of me. So if, you know, like, I'm the type of guy, you know, I got a lot of love to give. I can truly shower a woman with what she wants, but you get it if you show me you're the right type of chick to get it, you know. If you like your, you know, your hair stroked and, you know, little kisses on the forehead and just to cuddle with me and all that stuff, and flowers and candy and stuffed animals and cards, and you can get all that, dinners and presents, you can get all that shit from me, but you gotta show me you're the type that really deserves it, you know. Sometimes I'll test a woman by giving it to her too, to see how she acts, you know. Some girls is just spoiled bitches, you know what I mean. But anyway, so I learned to be upfront with my feelings. I learned to be patient, because this chick was basically the baby of the family, and yeah, she was selfish. She's very selfish, and I learned that. I figured that out, and she showed me one particular thing after we totally were finished, to where it truly showed me how selfish she was, and truly, I hate the bitch's guts to this day. If her guts was on fire, I wouldn't piss in her mouth to put it out. But you know what I mean? That's, you know, and I could be like, hey Tyrone, you hold grudges, so be it. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? That, and it was cold-hearted and ruthless. The way, I mean, you know, now look, I can be mean, but I ain't that fucking cold. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and ultimately, it was, see, a lot of times when you learn from these breakups, ultimately, you're better off. And I can tell you right now, wholeheartedly, truthfully, that every girl that I've broken up with, or has broken up with me, I look back, I am so much better off than being with these chicks. I mean, it's, you know, I'm so much better off than being with these chicks. And I could, hey, thank the Lord I am not with any of them to this day. Any of them. So, sometimes it hurts in the beginning, fellas, when you know, you break up with them. But at the end of the day, trust me, you're better off. Especially the ones that do cold-hearted shit. Those are the ones that you really know that you're better off from, because you know that deep down there's an evil spirit in them. Deep down, you know what they're capable of, type of thing. You know what I mean? You know, the type to get you to sign some type of insurance policy when you're on your deathbed, type of shit. You know what I mean? You kind of really realize how selfish or cold-hearted or mean-spirited some women are. Now, look, I'm not talking about if you cheated on them and beat them and all this shit, and then all of a sudden she fucks your boy and don't give a fuck and send you a video of her sucking his dick or something. Like, that's real cold-hearted and mean-spirited. But, motherfucker, you were cheating on her and beating her. Like, what the fuck, you know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about unwarranted, undeserved cold-heartedness is what I'm talking about, like some women have, you know. There was this other chick that I was messing with, and we were in love with each other for years, off and on. And she ended up doing something, and I was just like, you know what? You're crazy, and you're cold-hearted. Like, it surprised me that she even had it in her. It surprised me that she even had it in her. She's the one I told y'all the story about, I told you was the worst pussy I ever had in my life. Go look that up. The worst coochie I ever had in my life. Look at that story right there. This chick, man, And I left out certain details in that story, but this chick, I would have never thought would have acted this way or treated me like that. And I was just like, this, you just don't know. And I tell anybody that is in a relationship or is talking to somebody, don't really make it official until around the 6-month or more mark. You know what I mean? You can play the game. You can play the game if you want up to that mark, but people, and the reason why I say the 6-month mark is because usually 6 months in is when people drop the facades of being as nice as they usually are. It's that honeymoon phase of dating where you're kind of fake nice, and certain things that people do that irritate you, you let go and you smile and you laugh off. But usually at that 6-month mark is where they're like, yo, can you stop doing that shit? And you're like, oh, what do you mean? I thought that was cute to you. It ain't cute. I'm tired of this shit. It ain't funny. I laughed a couple of times. I was trying to be nice and let you know the shit wasn't funny, but I was laughing the shit off. Now it ain't fucking funny. And all of a sudden, one of you got your feelings hurt and you're crying and shit. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. There's a point where it's past that. So when you can get to that point where you see the person's stank-ass attitude full frontal, if you can handle that, I think it's good to say, okay, yeah, we can do this. You know, because look, like I said, I mean, one of my friends posted something on Facebook last night, and what it was all the astrological, you know, signs and how big their heart is. And I'm a Gemini. I'm a Gemini, and for the Gemini, like for certain people, they had big hearts. Some people had hearts flying around them. Like it was just like all different type of hearts. The Gemini had fucking ice cubes in their chest. I was like, come on now. Stop it. I was like, y'all exaggerating. There's one friend of mine that's just like, yo, like all the Geminis I've dealt with is assholes and this and that and all this other shit. And look, I can admit I can be an asshole. And y'all just heard me earlier say, look, the bitch that did that cold-hearted shit to me, look, I can return it. I told you, I said if her guts was on fire, I wouldn't piss in her mouth to put it out. That's cold-hearted to say, but that's all right because I'm returning the favor. But I am a nice person, goddammit. I have a good heart. I'm very giving and loving. Okay? But it's just don't do me wrong because karma's a bitch and I will help her out. That's what it is about probably the ice cubes in the Gemini's chest, because I'm a nice person. As a matter of fact, I think I'm too nice sometimes. You know, I really do. I think I'm too nice when I should punch somebody in the fucking mouth or cuss them out or whatever or cut a friendship. Sometimes I'm a little bit too nice, you know. Now, I have become more cutthroat as I've gotten older because, you know, experience teaches you. It's like, you know, you gotta stop being that nice. You gotta stop being that nice, you know. Like, I'll cut things faster with women than I used to in the old days because sometimes I would let things go on a little bit too long. I got friends that do that, male and female. You know, they're like this girl I know, listen to this absolute stupidity that she did. She actually, a guy that cheated on her, stole from her. I'm talking about stealing her jewelry, stole her money, wrecked her car, was living with her and mooching, not paying rent, stole her neighbor's mail and re-gifted it as a present to her. They ordered like a camera in the mail from Amazon. And the only thing he was pretty. That's it. That's all he was pretty. That's it. And she told me, this shows you how low her self-esteem was. She told me, but he's good looking and I like the way girls look at me when they see me with him. First of all, the fact that there's a human being on this planet that is able to admit that, I'm like, you thought that, and that came out of your mouth to say to me. How embarrassing is that to say to somebody? I mean, I'm actually so happy. I'm actually happy that she was comfortable enough to say that to me, because that allowed me to help her and shake the shit out of her, shake some sense into her fucking brain. So I'm like, wait a minute. He wrecked your car. He stole money and jewelry from you. He cheated on you, stole shit from your neighbors, re-gifted it to you, and all he is good looking. At the end of the day, after she kicked him out, do you know she gave him money? I was like, what? And she said to me, I just need to know that he's okay. I was like, you are the dumbest bitch on the planet. And I've met some dumb bitches in my life. Trust me, I can think of a couple of girls that I know that have literally done the dumbest shit. Dumbest. And I don't get it. All for companionship. The dumbest shit. From money to whoring themselves out. You know what I'm saying? Letting dudes stay with them. Buying them stuff. Putting stuff in their fucking name. Like, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing with your life? But anyway, I am at my home and I will be moving my stuff in. So this is going to take me a while. So y'all will hear from me a little bit later on today. Oh my God, somebody hit a deer? We got deer out here? I always feel sad when I see deer dead on the side of the road. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah, those of you just jumping in, make sure you, what the fuck? I got 3 notifications from Instagram. I got some shit from WhatsApp. What the fuck? Okay. Alright, y'all. I will see y'all soon. Let me move this shit into my house. What the hell? Okay. Yeah, I gotta make calls, basically. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. 10 million subscribers. Woo!